Hello everyone and welcome back to Building a City in Minecraft. This video is exceptionally late due to a few circumstances. One being that I didn't get to actually editing this video until recently, and then when I went to edit it, I realized that all of the sound was not right, so here I am redoing it. I know, lovely, amazing, but I'm here, we're doing this, so you're just gonna have to accept that. We're starting up here in the north. Don't mind that. We're starting up here in the north as we kind of did last time, although I'm not bothering to look at any of this because it's the same as the last time that I did World Tour in episode 10. But obviously some things have changed on this north side of the island. Most of this should be the same as the last World Tour. I don't think anything out here has really changed all that much, if at all. The one thing I do want to show you though is kind of what you saw when I was using map. I did some map art for some signage, so I can show you. We have it up here in massive form. So this is just maps on item frames on words here. So you can see the item frames on the back. To have this little sign, which I like. I think it came across really well. Doing this kind of cursive thing was really difficult. Basically I took a screenshot. I went onto my iPad. I used the Pages program. I chose a font. I wrote out the word that I wanted, took a screenshot, zoomed in, and then used a program that converted that into like a pixel form for Minecraft maps. And then I just had to do some cleanup when I actually built it in game, following, what I saw there. And that's how I got this. I think it came out really well. These upward letters I did just freehand. I just created a rectangle that was going to be the maximum size of each letter so that they could neatly fit into their space, and then I just created each letter and then copied over wherever I need to, kind of thing, making sure to use like same angles on things just to make sure that there's like some continuity there. Yeah. There's another one down here for entering. Welcome to, so it's just kind of the same thing, right? The M's just the W upside down and all that kind of stuff. So, pretty simple. C is just the O with part cut out. I also had to do some work down here because apparently these pillars, these couple pillars here didn't exist. They were supposed to, but this bridge was just floating. I hadn't noticed that before. So now there's pillars there, which meant that I had to move this entrance over a little bit, but it's fine. Better to have a supported highway pass. But anyways, these here, eventually I want to do custom maps on all of the highway signs everywhere. Obviously I haven't gotten around to doing that yet, but just so you know, it's going to be similar to what I did in these locations with the map art, just because I think it would be really fun, especially when I release this map to the public, at least a version of it, because then you can actually follow the highway signs to figure out where you're going and obviously exit and things like that, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun. This park here, the same as it was before, this is going to change. So the funny thing about having to re-record this episode, I'm going to show you just a little bit of spoilers. You'll notice there's a massive teal thing here. This is the next set of episodes, specifically episode 21, which is working over here, as I think I mentioned last episode. So yeah, I've already started working on it. In fact, episode 21 is almost done being recorded, and now I'm recording episode 20, so it's a little confusing. So that's why I've covered it all up so you can't see it. And you'll notice when we get there, it's a big box. You won't be able to see anything. Sorry, no spoilers. But obviously this is our park here. And having worked through some of that park, I've come up with a lot of techniques that I like, that I've been using, that I'm going to go back and redo a lot of these smaller parks, because they're just too chaotic and don't hold up to a lot of my a lot of what I know now. You're gonna notice that to be the case. I think this next set of episodes from 21 to 29 before the next World Tour, episode 30, this next set of episodes is going to be mainly focused on the park, but also I think on, at least in the background, redoing some areas that need some work. Right, there's some areas that still haven't been finished that need a little bit of reworking and things, and then there's areas like this that I love. I still love this. I think this area is done really well, except for, obviously we have old dandelions here that I used to use, but now we use wildflowers for dandelions because it just looks more convincing. So stuff like that, right, replacing old flowers and things is going to be happening over the next few episodes. So you might see an episode or two coming back into some of these areas. I still love this building here. I love this whole area. I think it came across really well. I love this walking bridge, this pedestrian bridge over. Again, these will all be custom map art for all of these highway signs and things, which is going to be so much fun. This is still not done, and also my texture pack is wrong. Okay, apologies, had to fix the texture pack. So yeah, still haven't finished this helicopter area. I need to put the main building here. But yeah, these helicopters themselves and the actual platform, still really happy with. The baseball stadium here got a little bit of love, specifically in the lights, but also a little bit of work over on this side, a little bit more complete now. Definitely seeing some progress on this build. Who knows, maybe by the next maybe by the next world tour we'll actually have something completed here. Who knows? This park over here, still unfinished. I can't remember if these lights were here in the last world tour or not. I genuinely don't remember. I really love these lights. They're gonna stay. Some of the trees and things are probably gonna end up going, again, because I've learned new techniques for making parks and things, and I want to bring some of that into this space. Yeah, of course we have this build here. Still love that design. Parking garage. And you'll notice that a building is missing here, right? From, I think, episode 2, it's like the thumbnail. I think it was called Pleasant Progress. That got moved to our downtown area, so you'll see that again later. But moving back in this direction, this was a build we did last episode, so you can kind of see more of the context of where it went. You can see some planning for future builds that I was going to get done for last episode or this episode, but didn't end up happening. Probably won't happen for at least a few episodes now. Of course, here we have Little Italy, which I still think is actually one of my most viewed videos and one of the most liked ones, which I get it because it's awesome. I also think it's just, it holds up as one of those really unique, fun things about this city. I really love this area, and I think it came across and still comes across really well. I think the design of a lot of these builds, even though they were early on in this city's history, still hold up. Now, here's an interesting thing. When I first recorded this tour episode, the Copper Age update hadn't come out yet. It is out now. I haven't updated all of the mods and everything yet, mostly because that just takes forever. I also have to update the texture pack I use and all that kind of stuff. But obviously shelves are a huge thing, right? In the city, I've come up with many ways of not using shelves or, you know, different things to accommodate the fact that we didn't have that kind of a block. You know, here, for instance. Obviously, the question that first comes to my mind is, am I going to replace old builds? I think some builds are going to get modified. Stuff like this will probably end up becoming jungle shelves rather than these trapdoors, simply because not only do the shelves really work for their purpose, they're a revolutionary building block. They're really, really good. I'm so glad that we got them. But also because it's going to be impossible for me to continue building in this city without using them, because they're just a thing that exists now. And I don't want old parts of the city to just not have that block in existence. So I am going to go back to some old builds and do minor updates. So, you know, episode 30, you might notice some of these builds get changed and things as things get swapped around. I probably won't mention it or really talk much about it in a video itself, but just know that that is something that I'm thinking about and probably will change. This build here, I still, it's interesting. I've debated on switching up the colors of this build so many times, you don't even know. I think I mentioned this the last world tour. The thing is, it probably will stay the same. Maybe it won't. I guess you guys will have to figure out. This is the plaza that we built together. And this is another thing that I still think holds up. I love the fountain. I love this area so much. Obviously, a lot of these builds are new now. I think they really help frame this area very nicely. Yeah, moving this way, of course. Some of these builds, I think some of these were the first ones that we did after the World Tour last time. And then coming around this way, we have this plaza here, which since the last World Tour update, I think these trees are new, and also these flowers, well, quote-unquote flowers, they're actually the coral, but I think they look like kind of dense flower kind of things from a distance, which is the point. These trees on the outside have been added, which I think really help to enclose the space and make you feel like you're not on the street itself. It's a little bit more private from what would be a very busy road, as this is the road that connects the bridge up here and is going to connect to another bridge on the south side of the island. So this road, it would be a major throughput through the city. Very, very busy. Yeah, this area still holds up. These builds, obviously, you haven't seen. These are all new, except for this one, which was done in last episode. These two, actually, to help fill in this area around this block that I kind of been filling in off episode, including with this build here, which is very funky, a very strange design. I found a drawing, an architectural drawing on Pinterest that was similar to this, and I took a lot of inspiration, changed enough of it because it's Minecraft and you kind of have to, and also there were some things that just didn't make sense, again in Minecraft, but also in this city. But I really loved the design and I tried to keep true to it as best as possible. Yeah, with some modifications, obviously, but I think it came out really well. I think it holds up. It's a very interesting build, and the idea of this area specifically is that there would be a lot of newer development in this area, like very, very new, you know, with this build here as well, because of, you know, a lot of the changes that would have been coming in recently, and a lot of the, you know, with the tram line here being put in and stuff like that. I would think more recently in terms of the history of this city, which would sprout a lot of development in these areas. But moving on this way, of course, we get to the park, which, as I said, is covered over with a massive box of blue wool, and it ends here, and I'm not going to give you any peeks. Of course, we have our builds here, which are going to be looking over a beautiful park not too far in the future. It's literally right under me. Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to see this next episode. Obviously, I've already started recording it, and I love it so much. I have to admit, when I first went into doing episode 21, specifically in this kind of corner here is where I've started. When I first started doing it, I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to do a good job, because terraforming is not my strong suit. There's a reason why most of the city is entirely flat, if not all of it. I am not good with terraforming. I'm really bad at it. I'm not good at creating custom trees, again, that's why I've created sets. You know, I build custom trees that I'm okay with, and then I just use those everywhere. It also just makes sense because most cities don't have like 30 different types of street trees. You usually keep to like a certain few sets. But again, like there's a reason why I do that too. And it's because I'm just not very good at making custom trees or terraforming or parks in general. I haven't taken any landscape architecture classes. I did a little bit of it in some of my early architecture classes before I switched majors away from architecture, but yeah, I never really experienced much of it. It's something that eludes me, but that I love. I've watched so many documentaries about the design of Central Park, and mostly in preparation for this project, I even decided to draw. I actually sketched out my plan because I found that looking at it from an above objective view and being able to draw on a piece of paper and then try to translate that into Minecraft would actually help. It very much has. It's been the basis of my design so far, but you'll hear more about that in the next episode, obviously. Of course, we have our library and the area around it, which this area has come a long way from the last World Tour, obviously, because the last World Tour I was even asking if you guys could figure out what I was going to put here. Well, here you go, a library. Yeah, I think this area is coming along really great. And you probably briefly saw it, but over this way, right, starting to head a little bit south here. Here's our building from episode 2, has been moved here just because I think it fits this area a lot better. I mean, when I originally built this building here, when I built it up here, I think it was right here, this was actually going to be more of where the downtown was going to be when I first started the city. That's where I planned on it being. But I very quickly realized that it just didn't make any sense, and it wasn't working out for me. Part of the reason why this building is here, why it was so big, it's going to stay here because this is a hotel, but chances are a lot of these builds are going to be more medium density in terms of size, like no more than 10 stories tall. A lot of it's going to be smaller because downtown obviously has been moving down this way in more recent episodes, and I've started to realize that I like this area better for a downtown space. So it just made sense to move this building. And I wanted to point this out specifically because I want you guys to know and like understand that obviously when you see buildings here, this doesn't necessarily mean that's their final place or even that that building's going to remain there, right? Like I like this building for now, but who knows? Someday it might go away. This building might not be here in the future. That's just based on, you know, whatever I decide in the moment. Nothing in this city is necessarily final except for these builds together. I'm telling you right now, this block right here is almost final. It obviously needs builds in the back here, but I love this lineup of builds along this street so much. Part of the reason why it actually has lights. Street lights need to be put in most of the city still, but wherever you see them is usually a place that I'm like, okay, I love this. And I'm willing to put in the effort. I still love this building so much when I built it, but I love this side of it being exposed by this like kind of dingy parking lot here. And of course this building here complementing that, just it really, I think once you have builds along the back, it's really going to accentuate how strange having a parking lot in the middle of the city is. But I noticed that, you know, in Manhattan there is stuff like that where you just have the sides of buildings just exposed to parking lots, which is so strange. And of course this building, which is very simple, but I think it does its job really well. I think it really stands out in the city, and I think along this like slightly larger road really helps to make it feel very Manhattan-esque. Like this building feels so New York to me. It's such a New York build, more than anything else really. Yeah, anyways, so moving on this direction, obviously we have the interior of this build is kind of done now. Not the interior of the build itself, but the courtyard has building now. You can stand in here, which I love. Imagine working in this building and having lunch in this courtyard with the tower there. Oh, just so good. There's like no light that ever gets in here, but it is really pretty. You can see the building across the way, of course. And of course, once the park is here, obviously you don't really get that view now, but you'll be able to walk along here and see that clock tower with the park here and see these builds behind it. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Now this build is newer because I brought this over from my old save. It needs some work. Not to mention with the new copper update, this is going to change because this is obviously the warped fence, because I wanted a cyan texture to match the more coppery kind of roof. We're getting copper bars. Well, we have copper bars, but I'm going to be getting them when I update. So that's going to be switching for copper bars, which will be fun. Bringing a little bit of the new stuff into some old builds, you know, very old builds even. This build is older than this version of the city, you know, the relatively old build. You can see that it doesn't fit the blocks super nicely, but I think once I push it out a little bit and I'm going to add a road back here, like a small alley to cut off some of these blocks, I think, which is going to make some of this more interesting. And adding a plaza or something here and some trees along the side, I think it will look more like a standout piece. Plus, it will make sense with the park. When you do see under here, there is like a little bit of something that's going to be happening under here that's going to kind of mirror this building. Like there's a reason why it's here. Yeah, I think that's going to help. And then obviously we have this road here. which serves as our very historic road with a lot of old buildings, starting with this one. Also from my old save, been brought over, was modified a little bit to fit this space. Absolutely love it. I think it comes across really well. The colors are amazing. And then of course we have this build here, which I wish this building still existed and that I lived near it, because it is just so gorgeous. It gives Disneyland in the best way. It is so, so beautiful. Such a spectacular building. Whoever designed the original should be applauded. It's fantastic. This building is amazing. Yeah, and then we have, of course, our historic street here. We also have this build here, which I can't remember if this was in episode 19 or not. I don't think it was. I brought over this build, but I can't remember if it was seen in episode 19 or not. But it's here now for you to view. Again, my mind is a little messed up because I recorded the original episode 20 World Tour a while ago, and then now I'm re-recording it, and I can't remember exactly what happened. It's been a while since I've recorded an episode. So I'm trying to remember everything. We have the Woolworth building here, which I absolutely love. And we have City Hall, of course, and we have our downtown Singer building and all of these other buildings here filling in this space. Still think it comes across really well. The waterfront obviously still needs a little bit of work, but I think it is coming across, especially on the map when you see the seaweed under the water. Like, imagine all of this all over here under the water. I think it comes across so well. And of course, these little pillars, we're gonna have so much more of this existing in other places in the city, especially along this side here, once we start to get to the waterfront on this side of the island. Yeah, I think it looks so good. It comes across so well. I can't remember if this was ever seen in an episode, but I did change so this path had this kind of like line, like this kind of, I don't know, I guess just lined texture to it, where I just added these like lines of dark brick. I think it just adds some visual interest. It makes it feel more like an actual like modern walking path rather than like an older thing, because this would be a newer construction, you would imagine. Yeah, this obviously the views here are still really good. This building is new. I built off camera. Very, very teal. Trying to bring in more color, but still matching other colors in the city, right? It still makes sense, but it is adding some visual interest here, particularly as it caps off the view from this side of this little plaza here. And then this building here, which came from my old save, but had to be modified a lot to fit into the new block size. Yeah, I absolutely love this building. I think it's based off of like the Woman's Temple of Chicago or something, I think is what it was called. But yeah, it was a very old build that I had to modify to this save. So a lot of it changed, a lot of it got updated, but I think it comes across really well, and I think it fits this area and obviously this historic street really well. Of course, then we have our kind of Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange building. Then we have this building with the very ugly roof here that definitely needs to change at some point. And all of these builds, this kind of menagerie of styles here along this street, which is my intention. I want this street to be very culturally significant over a long time in history. So there's going to be a lot of different styles of builds that are going to be along this street specifically. And then, oh yeah, almost forgot, we have our Boston area, which I'll just teleport this way because it'll make it easier for us. Yeah, this is the last thing I think to talk about. Oh no, we have one more thing. One more thing I'm forgetting. But yeah, we have obviously our church here, which the roof is a little wonky, but you know, it's at an angle, so I'll forgive myself. Yeah, I still think this church looks good. I think it holds up. You can see here's a place where I use these kinds of the fence gates to push it out a little bit. That might become something else. I don't know. I kind of like having the fence gates on this build just because I think it helps the pillars like push out more. whereas I think the shelves are going to be a little too flat. But like here with the buttons, this is a place where theoretically that shelf design is like exactly what I was trying to imitate here. So there's a possibility shelves might appear on that build in that spot. Or here, right? This is a place where shelves would make sense with these fence gates. Will I actually use it instead of the fence gates? Maybe, because I think the fence gates come out too much. I love the depth that they provide, but I don't like how they match up with the stairs so well. I almost wish the fence gates could be like shelf width, but still like separated like this, so it added that kind of interior depth. I think if whatever block that would be perfect here, because that's exactly what I want. But yeah, that might get replaced with shelves. We'll have to see. Yeah, I'm excited to update this world to get the new stuff. I think it's gonna look really nicely. I've been playing around with some of the new stuff in survival already, and you know, ideas are running through my head of like, oh, I can use this in the city. Oh, I can use that in the city. Like, oh my goodness, that's gonna work so well. Yeah, I love this city so much. I'm glad I'm doing this tour in kind of the way of doing it, because I have been a little bit put out, not gonna lie, by Minecraft recently. I haven't been playing it as much. I've been doing a lot of Lego recently because I had some sets that I never built in the past, so I've been doing a lot of Lego. And I think finally doing this world tour and having to re-record it is actually definitely helping me get back in the groove. Working on episode 21 also helped. Doing this part of the park, I think, has definitely gotten me back into the mood of wanting to do stuff in this city again. And with that, we're going to move on to obviously the last, but definitely not least build of this city, Power Station, which is going to move. This build is definitely going to move. It is not going to remain here. But I absolutely love this build so much. Again, you can tell that I loved it because it has streetlights. I've actually cared to put in the time to put in the streetlights and things. I still think it comes across so well. I love this build so much. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I just think it comes across so well. I think I mentioned in the video that I've never built like this, still haven't really done anything like it since, and I still think it holds up as one of my more realistic, or well, honestly, one of my most realistic builds that I've ever done. I think, yeah, it's great. I think it comes across really, really well, even though I don't really know what half of this stuff is. Like, what the heck is this? I don't know. It's in the real building that I based this off of, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what that does. I put funnels in places. I'm not sure if that's realistic, but somehow it just feels right. It feels really good, and it feels appropriate, which is the most important thing when you're building a city in Minecraft. It's a video. Ultimately, you know, this is a video game. Nothing's gonna be perfect. Everything's gonna be a little bit wonky or a little bit off. That's just, you know, the nature of, again, working in a video game, trying to recreate real life. I mean, I tried to watch so many documentaries to explain how natural gas power plant works, and I understand how it works, but I don't understand why it's the shape, or why, you know, certain plants have like all of these like different colored tanks of different sizes. I can assume what it is, but I don't really know for sure. But ultimately, you know, the most important thing is to get the feeling of realism, right? You do enough research, look at enough places in Google Earth to get the general idea of what you're looking for. It doesn't necessarily have to be specific, and it shouldn't be, because unless you're aiming to rebuild a city one by one, you should always allow yourself to be lenient with builds like this, because otherwise you're going to get bored really, really quickly. Like, there's a lot of things I did change because I just didn't want to do it that way. That wasn't the way, you know, I wanted to do it. So I ended up, you know, building this, and I'm really happy with it. And obviously I would have never gotten what I built here if I tried to exactly recreate what I saw, rather than just going off of vibes and trying to generally recreate things that I saw vaguely. Yeah, I still think this build holds up. And I think that is everything in the city that we've done so far. It feels like not much. Even though, you know, zoom out like this and you realize, oh wow, no, this is a lot of builds over a long time. A lot of blocks placed, right? Each of these pixels is a block. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm really happy with this city, and I hope you guys are too. I'm gonna bring us back here for the end, just because I still love this area. I still love this church here. I think it holds up. I think this is the oldest build in the city in terms of it's a build from my old world that is older than some of my other builds that I've brought over from my old world. This is one of the first things I built when I started the Newport project, when I started this actual save. And it just, I love it. You know, I haven't changed really much of anything about it except for that I added the copper here because when I first built this church, we only had prismarine and not copper. But I kept the prismarine here because I liked the specific color it had. Yeah, anyways, with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I will see you hopefully in a week. Should be week next Friday. I think will be the release of episode 21 with starting on the park. Yeah, I'm really excited to see you guys then. So I'll see you. Bye-bye.